What up? What up? Oh boy, what a morning! Happy Friday, everybody. Um, just got done listening to Phil Tyler over at ATO. Yeah, that guy always has great words he shares in the morning. Great motivational, uplifting stuff. And he hit on something that I wasn't prepared to really talk about or mention. Um, I'm just kind of winging this at the moment. I do that sometimes, but he was talking about you know all the things that go viral and that people share out on social media platforms are mostly negative things, whether they're funny at somebody else's expense, fights, uh, explosions, arguments, just really a lot of negative content. And these social media platforms definitely, you know, um, record the likes and the view time and whatnot, and it'll keep flooding your your feeds and everything with the same kind of content you stop on. What the phone picks up that you're looking at or whatever, or reading or viewing, whether you like it or not, especially if you like it and share it. But it made me think of garbage in, garbage out. And that's the same way with you know the news we consume on a daily basis. If you listen to the news at all, whatever channel, whatever movies, whatever music, um you start to kind of, I think our brains start to seek that um on a more regular basis. It's habit forming. It's just like if there's a wreck on the highway, I'd say 99 out of 100 people are gonna at least glance over. A lot of people say like NASCAR. A lot of people watch NASCAR for the wrecks. A lot of people watch football for the touchdowns, whatever. But big hits that could be injuring somebody. Fights you watch for the knockouts, and it's whatever we're chasing. Um, will get given to view and consume and eat up our time and fill our head with negative thoughts. Like if you get some joy or happiness or some laughter out of negative things, I don't know then how you'll be able to go about your daily life, with positivity preceding you, gratitude and humility and all that. I don't know how that works. I'm looking back on my life and I'm thinking like the more negative things that I enjoyed watching and listening to, um, when I would have a bad moment happen to me, when something bad would happen, It's like all that time and all that material that I viewed and spent time with, enjoyed, um, comes to the forefront and definitely could wreak havoc um, in my daily life on certain situations if all I'm consuming is negative things that I'm even getting a kick out of or a laugh. Then when when something serious happens, I don't have no arsenal of positivity to deal with any of that in a mature, responsible way. I flee from accountability. I think that's one of the difficulties of early recovery is that when you're just chasing the drugs and the alcohol and getting high or trying to get it, doing whatever. I mean, that's all that's going on in your life. You're kind of avoiding all the other trappings and pitfalls, that can happen. You're just 24/7 pretty much consumed by one thing, which is, for a lot of people, that's fine because they don't have to deal with all the other things that happen in a daily life, as long as they're chasing this one thing. Um, so then, you sober up, you get arrested, you go to rehab, whatever, drug court, and now you're like, okay, now you don't have the thing that you were doing 24/7, which was a negative thing. Might have felt good at certain times, but it just causes the things you run from are still going to be there, and they get added on to, and there's more, and it's heavier, and that's the toughest. That's one of the difficulties of recovery is now you don't think that you can face things, like even more so because just you didn't we didn't when before we started drinking and drugging, and now all that stuff's still there, and everything we did while we was drinking and drugging, and it could be very heavy, and we want to flee from that sometimes, and that's when surrendering becomes paramount. I mean, the burdens of our own immaturity and unaccountability and irresponsibilities get added up, and they can become very heavy. And I mean, in a literal sense, we can only carry as much weight as we are able to. Maybe just look for somewhere to set it down or push it, shove it aside or something, ignore it. And if he wasn't willing and ready to deal with a lot of stuff before we started drinking and drugging, how are we going to be able and ready and willing to deal with it after we stop drinking and drugging? And that's where I think surrender comes in, and step work and meetings and all that stuff. Just being surrounded by like-minded people, but above all that, everything is provided by God. The people, the books, the meetings, the tables, all that stuff, the step work, rehab centers, all that stuff. If there's like Narcan involved, if there's Suboxone, all the medicines that you could take to stabilize your moods and cravings and withdrawals and everything. It's all, I mean, God made the people that can make those medicines. So everything is God based, whether you believe in Him or not. You're you're still partaking in the things God gives you and provides for you. The things you need is all from God. And the difficulty I think a lot of people have in accepting that fact is that, well, I don't see Him. He's known my problems my whole life, especially this last few years or however long, and He didn't do anything for me. He just, he denied me. He forsake me. He wasn't there for me, and it's just not the case. It's just not the case. He's all around us and everything and everywhere we go. He sees everything we do. Um, some storms and some fires, we just have to get through them and walk through them. The refining is key. there's no perfection that's going to take place. There's no immediate removal of the burdens of life, of your responsibilities, of the things that other people are depending on you for. There becomes more, and they become more substantial as you get older. Um, so drug use past the age of early 20s, mid 20s, it's just, it's childish, and it's an immature thing. And I get that it could be absolutely physically dependent on the drugs, on the high, on the alcohol. Like physically, the body could need certain drugs constantly in the system to function. I understand that, but then again, that's another area where God knows that, and He could restore your body by restoring your mind and your heart. He may provide a doctor or physician to prescribe a medicine that you need physically to get to a better place where you're not as clouded in your thinking, where your heart is not, flooded with mud, but His blood, renewed mind, restored mind, body, and spirit. Um, and we just have to stop trying to do everything our way, thinking things have to be this way or that way. We want to rewrite stuff. We need things now. We need everything fixed right now. God knows our priorities. He knows what we need in steps. He knows what we deserve at what time we deserve it. And that's the walk. That's the walk by faith that we have to have, that you have to establish. Um, every other walk you walked on your own without Him when He thought He wasn't there. I don't know where that led you to, but ultimately it just led you into darker times and worse situations. And when we emerge from those areas, those places, there He is again, as He always has been and always was and always will be. The difficulty in thinking that, just because we haven't used for 9 months or a year or 5 years, that, somebody's getting married, there's a party, it's been 3 years. I'm sure I can have a glass of champagne or a beer or two at this cookout. Uh, it's it's not the case. Um, and even if it is for that particular day in that particular cookout or that wedding or whatever, another event's going to come up pretty soon, or like a really hard work week's going to come up. Well, I had a beer or a glass of wine that one time not too long ago. I was fine after that. It didn't really, affect me any. Did what I wanted it to do. Didn't get crazy, didn't get arrested. So now I can have a couple again. I know I can. Maybe that time will go good too. Now you're starting to think, I could have maybe a few beers after work now. I'm fine. I got this. Like, I know what not to do. And that goes back to garbage in, garbage out. There's nothing positive about consuming drugs and alcohol. There just isn't. It's garbage. If you are filled with the Holy Spirit and you have faith, you don't need any of that. The best high you can have is from being filled with the power and spirit of the Most High. Your cravings and taste buds for those substances would be removed. And it's not just that you need faith. You need to believe that your faith is enough and that He sustains us. And you're going to have days where, something's going to happen where you think that you're doing everything right. I'm walking in faith. I'm being obedient. I'm denying my flesh. I'm leaning on other people when I have a craving. But this happened. And you're going to feel like running or walking away at least. Or you're going to think and say again that God's not there. It's called growing pains. It's easy to have faith and walk obediently when things are good. Simple. Life's good. Cool. God's there. God's not. Whatever. Everything's fine. The tests come when He wants to move us in into the next level of faith and to the next blessing. We are struck sometimes with storms and fires and trials, tough times. And if we just go to Him and be still and not make the situation worse by fleeing, He will see us through. He will open a door. He will make a way for us where we see no way but our old ways. And that's a difficult thing to hold fast to and to lean into. Here comes this old scenario, this old situation and circumstance. Man, I thought I was doing good. I don't need this. Why did this happen? Why did so and so die? I just talked to so and so. Now they're dead. This and the overdue bills, get fired from the job, whatever it is. See, doing everything right, like you said, train and all this, and this still happens. God lets tough things happen sometimes to toughen up people. It's weakness to always give up. It's weakness to always flee and to seek garbage and negative substances and people and places. To always run first to negative content instead of getting into the word. You know what I mean? If you had a best friend, literally, and you treated them like crap all the time, ignored them, never talked to them, and they wanted to talk to you, but always expected them to be there and talk to you or loan you something when you wanted it. But when they ask you for some time or ask you for something, you're busy, don't reply, can't do it. Why are they bugging me? It's a give and take. And all God really asks us to do in those tough times when we're being put through something that seems to be an inconvenience or a nuisance or a burden, we can handle it. We handle it by letting God handle it. He handles it for us. So when you're met with things unexpectedly that you don't think you deserve and you don't understand why it's happening, that's when you go to God. He's expecting a call from you. Even if you're mad, you talk to God like you would talk to whoever. Like, as long as you're acknowledging God, that's the key thing. I wouldn't suggest cussing him out or whatever, but He knows your heart. He knows what's on your heart. He knows what's in your mind. He knows the words you're going to speak before you speak them. So there's no sense in trying to edit or censor or be over dramatic with your talkings with God. You just go to Him and be real. And even if you don't get that immediate prayer answered or that immediate, why this happened to answer to your situation, you're still going to feel like, yeah, okay, we'll let that out a little bit. So now you unburden yourself just by taking that to God, and what God does with it and how He handles your situation for you, as long as you're not making it worse, is up to Him and His time. You did your part. You took it to God. The second part is not making it worse. And the third part is trusting that He's already got the answer. And it will be presented to you in some way you can't imagine or didn't think of or don't expect. Maybe not even want, but it's going to be what you need. And it's going to get you through that season and that storm on to the next thing. And then you're going to be like, huh, well, that wasn't so bad. Didn't expect this opportunity to pop up out of this tough situation that I've fled from 100 times over. All right. I just didn't make it worse, where I would have and did 1,000 times before. I was upset. I was angry. I was like, why me? But I didn't make things worse. I didn't flee. I didn't seek the garbage and the negative stuff that I've always sought before. So being still and having faith and going to God with those tough times can be difficult in early recovery. for some. That's just what's on my heart and mind this morning. Just wanted to do the StreamYard thing right quick. Um, on the spot's coming up with Gary Ebanks, the hype man, August 17th, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be having a little something special at the end of that interview from him, by him. Stephen L. Randell, an author, business owner, addiction recovery advocate. He's going to be talking about a real personal situation that he wrote a book about called My Child's Addiction, Navigating Through My Child's Addiction. And it's really for parents who are living with children with addiction or have lost children from addiction. That should be very powerful. Then I got another one coming up on the 27th with Geo Eisler, Eissler. And I love the name Geo because that was the name of my favorite cat. So hopefully this dude is a cool cat. Can't believe I just said that. On the 27th, haven't made the event for it yet. But, you know, these days are awesome. Last year at this time, no. And I do think of every day, at least once or twice, where I was, what I was doing a year before, and what I'm doing now. And I'm blessed, man. Absolutely grateful. Still trying to get that interview with Phil Tyler. So anybody knows Phil Tyler from ATO, hit him up and be like, do that interview with Travis. He's a busy guy, man, doing servanthood for work for sure. But lifting up Nate Aaron Burke, he's got bronchitis and got his first church service tomorrow. I think he'll be good enough to go. He'll be fine. He'll make it through. He's got a rough voice anyway, so we probably wouldn't even notice he's got bronchitis. But anyway, cool shirt. That's it. I'm gonna start my day. I think I'm gonna wash the car out today, clean it up real good before it goes to Wally World tomorrow and get some new tires on it. And just loving life, man. There's still, difficult times ahead from consequences that have yet to come from, my past life. But I'll face them, and I'll face them with God foremost. So that's all I got. Everybody be good. But be good to yourselves first. GBR, yo.